Good morning, friends. Today we are going to continue our lecture on the chapter of gravitation. So, a little bit of revision what we did yesterday in the previous lecture. In the previous lecture, we saw the universal law of gravitation. So, it is called the inverse square law. What is the universal law of gravitation? We saw how Newton derived it with the help of the data collected by Tycho Brahe and Johannes Kepler. So we have seen that any body in the universe attracts another body with a force which is proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. So this force governs the motion of the earth around the sun, of the moon around the earth, of all the heavenly bodies, and of the observable universe also. This law has been very useful. Now we continue in today's lecture. We have to see a new topic called free fall. So we know that objects are under motion due to a force. So any object, if you leave from a height, where does the object go? The object will fall towards the earth. So whenever the object falls towards the earth, under the influence of gravitational force alone, means no other force is working. Objects fall towards the earth under the influence of gravitational force alone. Means you do not have to take air also. Air gives a resistance force, but here we are talking only under the influence of gravitational force, then the objects are said to be in free fall. So when a parachute diver jumps from an airplane, okay, there are two forces acting on him actually. One is the gravitational force which is pulling him down, and because of that velocity, the air in between air resistance, he gets an upward force which is very less. Now if you neglect the air resistance, then the person is falling under free fall, only under the force of gravitation. If you been to some amusement parks, then there is a instrument there called the free fall. It is like a small sofa or a chair in which you are taken to a height, and suddenly the sofa or the chair beneath you is allowed to fall suddenly, and you are falling. So you are not touching the chair, you are actually falling in the air under the influence of gravity alone, that is in a free fall. Now you must have observed while falling, when a object is falling towards the earth, not very light objects like feathers and pieces of paper or plastic, but slightly heavier objects, you will see there is no change in the direction of motion. If you leave some heavy body, say a stone, from the top of the building, it will only fall down. So there is no change in the direction, it is only going in one direction from top to the bottom. But because of the Earth's attraction, there will be a change in the magnitude of the velocity that you can very clearly understand. You can imagine if you drop a body from the top of a terrace, if there is no attraction from the earth, then the object will float in space, means float in air. But it will not float in air, it will start falling towards the earth. It is falling towards the earth because the earth's gravity is pulling it. And you will also observe that the velocity keeps on increasing. This means the speed keeps on increasing. Here the direction is same. There is no change in the direction, but the speed is increasing. So in this case, because the speed is increasing, we say there is a change in velocity, and change in velocity means there is an acceleration. And why is this acceleration taking place? This acceleration is due to the Earth's gravitational force. Okay, so the acceleration in the body, there is no change in direction, but the body is changing its speed when it reaches from the top to the bottom. So that is acceleration, it is due to the gravitational force or the acceleration due to gravity. So the gravitational force we call F, but the acceleration due to gravity we denote by the letter G. So because it is acceleration, G has got the same units that is meter per second square, also written as meter per second square. So this has got the same units, the acceleration due to gravity. Now we go further to see. We know Newton's second law of motion, not equation of motion, Newton's second law of motion, that force is the product of mass and acceleration. So F is equal to m into A. But we just saw that A, when we take A acceleration due to gravity, then we get gravitational force F equal to m into g. So what is F here? It is the gravitational force. What is m here? It is the mass of the body, the mass of the object, which is under the influence of gravity. And what is g? It is the acceleration due to gravity. So the formula F equal to ma becomes F equal to mg. So this is the gravitational force acting on any body of mass m. But we have seen that gravitational force according to Newton's law, the gravitational force on an object of mass m due to the earth is given by Newton's law of universal gravitation, product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance. So we got the formula F equal to g m into m upon d square, where this m, capital M, is the mass of the earth. We are taking earth, the first body. Small m is the mass of the object on which the gravity is acting. D is the distance from the surface of the earth to the center of the earth. Why? Here we are taking this earth and there is a body on the earth. So the distance of the center of the body to the center of the earth, this distance we can call d. Right? Sometimes if the body is in air, then this distance has to be taken h, that is height from the surface of the earth, plus r, that is the radius of the earth. So that will come to later on. So this is the gravitational force given by the formula. But the gravitational force we have by this one, and the gravitational force we have this one, they both are the same. Here the gravitational force is mass into acceleration due to gravity. Here the gravitational force is the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance. But these two forces are the same. So we can write mg equal to g m into m upon d square. But m is the mass of the body, so we'll cut it on both sides. So we get the value of g to be capital G upon m upon d square. So what is this d now? So I told you, when the object is on the surface of the earth, the distance is nothing but the radius. So when the object is on the surface of the earth, the distance is the radius of the earth. What is the distance again? The earth, from the center of the earth to the surface of the earth, is nothing but the radius of the earth. So when the body is on the surface of the earth r, we get g equal to m g into m upon r square, where r is the radius of the earth and m is mass of the earth. This is the mass of the earth and this is the radius of the earth. So the acceleration on the surface of the earth is given by g equal to m by r square. But this formula can be used, this formula here can be used for any planet. So if you take the moon, let us say gravitation on the moon will be equal to what? Mass of the moon upon radius of the moon, the whole square. You can even take it for Jupiter. You can even take it for Saturn. So any planet, any object, even the sun, we do not get anything on the surface of the sun because the heat of the sun will burn it totally. But any object on the surface of a body, any planet, any moon will be given by this formula only. So acceleration of gravity on the moon here will be the mass of the moon upon radius of the moon, the whole square. So this is a formula which is applicable to any planet. Okay, so remember the formula G is equal to capital G m upon r square. This is acceleration due to gravity. So this G, how do we calculate? Now we have learned before in the previous chapter that the earth is not a perfect sphere. You know that. It is slightly the shape of an orange, flat at the poles and slightly bulging at the equator. It is bulging at the equator but flat at the poles. Flat at the poles, bulging at the equator. So if you measure, the polar radius is lesser but the equatorial radius is more. Means the equatorial radius on the equator is greater than radius of the poles. But here we are not going to take that consideration. For the time being, we will take the radius to be uniform. We know the radius of the earth increases when one moves from the pole to the equator. The value of G becomes greater at the poles. Why? We can see this R. The polar radius is lesser. Because the polar radius is lesser, R will be lesser at the poles. So when R decreases, G will increase. So G becomes greater at the poles than at the equator. But right now we'll take the G to be more or less constant or near to the earth. On the surface of the earth, let it be equator or the poles, we are taking the G to be constant right now. So we have got G equal to the formula m upon d square. This d we are taking constant just now. Whether it be the equator or the poles, we are not giving it any change. So then how will we calculate the value of G? So we have the formula and let us put the values we know. Capital G is equal to approximately 6.67 into 10 raised to minus 11 Newton meter square kg square inverse. Mass of the earth, the capital M is 6 into 10 raised to 24 kg. Radius of the earth is 6.4 into 10 raised to 6 meter. So by putting the values and calculating, you get approximately 9.8 meter per second square. This is the value of acceleration due to gravity of the earth. What does it mean? It means when you drop a body from a height, the initial velocity u will be 0, but after 1 second the velocity will become 9.8 meter. Okay, because the acceleration in 1 second is changes. After 1 more second, the velocity will become 9.8 plus 9.8, that is 19.6 meter per second. After the 1 more second, the third second, velocity will become how much? 19.6 plus 9.8, that is 29.4 meter per second. So this is the acceleration due to gravity. 9.8 meter per second square means the gravitational pull of the earth will keep on changing the velocity of the body at every second at the rate of 9.8 meter per second square. Okay, now we'll see the motion of the objects under the influence of gravitational force on the earth. So again we go back to the very same formula we did, G equal to Gm upon R square. Just remember this formula, this is very important. This is said about the gravitational force of the earth. So the acceleration of the body due to earth's gravitational force. Now what it says here is, you can see here in this formula, G is acceleration due to earth, we can say, earth's gravity, G is constant, m is the mass of the earth and r is the radius of the earth. Here the mass m of the body is missing, there is no formula in m. Means you can see in this formula, the gravitational force is independent of the mass of the body m. There is no mass given here. So it should mean that all objects, hollow or solid, big or small, should fall at the same rate. Yes? Now can you observe this? No. You will say when we drop a stone and we drop a piece of paper, the stone will hit the earth first and the drop of paper will come later. If you drop some heavy object and if you drop feathers, then you will see that the heavy object will hit the earth first and the feathers will come later. But here the law says that the acceleration of the body due to the Earth's gravitational force is independent of the mass. Means even if the body is heavy or light, it should be accelerated by the same amount. When it accelerates by the same amount, they should hit the earth, the ground together, but this we cannot observe. So what is happening here? There is a story which says that Galileo went to test this and he dropped different objects from the Leaning Tower of Pisa in Italy to prove the same. Galileo also believed that the Earth's gravity is independent of the mass of the body. Whether the body is heavy or light, the influence of gravity will be same on both, so both should hit the body at the same time. So it took two metallic balls of different masses and dropped them and it reached the same time. But again we come back to the thing, if you take a stone and a piece of paper and drop it from a terrace, you will observe the stone hits the earth first and the piece of paper is hitting the earth later. But if it is independent of the mass, both should hit the earth together. So now we'll see something, a video that I have downloaded from the internet by the courtesy of BBC. This video will explain to us how acceleration due to gravity works.
This is NASA's Space Power Facility near Cleveland, Ohio, and it is the world's biggest vacuum chamber. It's used to test spacecraft in the conditions of outer space, and it does that by pumping out the 30 tons of air in this chamber until there are about 2 grams left. And it's kind of got an eccentric construction, which is part of its history. It was built in the 1960s as a nuclear test facility to test nuclear propulsion systems, and that meant that they built it out of aluminium to make the radiation easier to deal with. Aluminium is not the best thing, the strongest material to build a vacuum chamber out of, so they built an outer concrete skin, which is part radiation shielding and part an external pressure vessel, so that this thing can take the force that's present on the outside when it's pumped out to the conditions of outer space. Galileo's experiment was simple. He took a heavy object and a light one and dropped them at the same time to see which fell fastest. Now in this case, the feathers fell to the ground at a slower rate than the bowling ball because of air resistance. So, in order to see the true nature of gravity, we have to remove the air. It takes 3 hours to pump out the 800,000 cubic feet of air from the chamber.
Okay, we dropped 2 millitorr in the last 30 minutes.
But once it's complete, there's a near perfect vacuum inside.
6104 manual, 10% open. Station 1, go for drop. PCB 30-1, pressure set point at 240 psi. We are go for drop.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Cameras on. 2, 1. Release.
Exactly.
Look at
Exactly. They came down exactly the same. Wow.
Look.
Watch right there. Look at how they hit right there.
Exactly.
You're back on the side. Look closer
Exactly
to
the same.
Feathers don't move, nothing.
Look at that. That's just brilliant. Isaac Newton would say that the ball and the feather fall because there's a force pulling them down, gravity. But Einstein imagined the scene very differently. The happiest thought of his life was this. The reason the bowling ball and the feather fall together is because they're not falling. They're standing still. There is no force acting on them at all. He reasoned that if you couldn't see the background, there'd be no way of knowing that the ball and the feathers were being accelerated towards the earth. So he concluded they weren't.
So I hope you liked the video and you saw exactly that the earth pulls every object with the same acceleration, but because of the air resistance. It is because of the air resistance that the feathers fall later. But when you remove the earth resistance and make it almost vacuum, then both of them fall at the very same rate. So this is what happens in space also. So in all the other planets, if there is no atmosphere, no air, then they should fall at the same rate. So I hope you understood now the acceleration due to gravity remains same for all the objects independent of the mass. And now we will move on to the equations of motion due to gravity. Now equations of motion we did in the 8th chapter. Which is the equation of motion we did and we revised earlier also. V is equal to u plus at, s equal to ut plus half at square, v square minus u square equal to 2as. So here this final velocity v, initial velocity u, acceleration a, we mentioned here u, v and s is displacement are all vectors, only time is scalar here. So there are vector and scalar quantities. Now if we are going to see the gravitational force, and we saw that when an object is dropped from a height, dropped, not thrown, dropped, initial velocity u is 0, but g, that is a, is 9.8 meter per second square. So depending upon how much distance, that is s, displacement the body travels, the velocity will change, but a will remain constant. So when we are going to apply these equations, we will take acceleration a, that is g, to be positive when the body is falling in the direction of velocity. Okay, so acceleration is the direction of velocity, means the body is falling. Now we know that the surface of the earth pulls everything towards the earth. You know that everything is pulled towards the earth. So when the object is falling towards the earth, towards the acceleration, we will take it to be positive. But if you throw the object away from the earth, now acceleration of the earth is this way. When you are throwing the body on the opposite side, we have to take it minus g. So g will be negative when it opposes the motion, that is the body is thrown away from the earth. So when the acceleration opposes the motion, if the body is going upwards and acceleration is pulling it downwards, is opposite, g is taken to be negative. So now the equations will change. V equal to u plus gt. So g can either be positive or negative because it depends on the direction. Here s becomes the height h. So when the body is falling, here when the body was displaced like this, we took the displacement to be s, but now when the body is falling down, this s will take as the height of the body. So height equal to ut plus half gt square. In the same way we get the formula v square minus u square equal to 2gh. So there is nothing new here, only these equations of motion have now been modified by the height and the acceleration due to gravity. So in the next lecture we are going to see some numericals based on these equations and calculate the velocity of a falling body or how much height it covers. Okay, so we are going to end the lecture here for today. Thank you.